Hello YouTubers. Well, first of all, I'm really chuffed at having 100 subscribers. It's quite amazing, and a particular shout out to the Scooter Hoon, who was my 100th subscriber last night. It's just absolutely amazing, and I just hope that you're enjoying the videos, that they're proving to be interesting and useful. As promised, this is going to be a review of the new Speed Triple. I picked it up yesterday, and again I did have my camera with me, but for some reason once again I didn't have the microphone turned on, so the video from yesterday afternoon was pretty useless. However, what that means now is that I had a little bit of a chance to ride this a little bit. I took the back roads home, mainly because of the wind. It was really windy on the motorway going to Jack Liddy's yesterday to pick this up, and on my current bike that was a little bit scary, and I didn't want to be riding in those conditions on a bike that I'm not familiar with. So that meant I had a bit of about an hour or so journey home, which meant that I could start to get a feel for what this bike is like. I mean, I've mentioned the very different riding position a few times now, and I must admit I'm actually starting to get used to it a little bit. I'll talk a bit more about that later on. But a few other things. First impressions, I must admit it's a very confidence-inspiring bike. The way it handles, especially turning, is just absolutely fantastic, and I've got to admit that even though it's still a little bit early days on this test ride, I'm really warming to this bike. So I've decided to be a little bit scientific about my test ride. So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm doing my normal commute to work and back, because that's roads that I actually ride on the most, and so will give me the best opportunity to compare what this bike is like to my current bike. And during the course of this ride, I'm gonna stop at some point and do a walk around of this bike, and a comparison then of some of those features with my existing bike. Yeah, so that's to come later on in this video, and then and I hopefully I'll have that uploading around lunchtime today. And then later on today I'm going to take this bike out on the country roads, a few roads that I travel on quite a bit, and perhaps a few new roads as well, and just see what it's like out on the open road. Now, one of the things I'm having to do is check my speed all the time, because the feeling is so different, and the actual power delivery is significantly better on this than my current bike, that it actually feels as if I'm going slower than I really am all the time, which is a potential problem. I filled this up shortly after I picked it up, so hopefully what I'm going to be able to do is later on as well is get a good indication of the fuel consumption as well. So that'll come later on today. So a few things about this bike. Again, it's a triple. So this model is a 1050. I don't know what the exact CC are, and has a reported 133 brake horsepower. So that's a third more power than my current bike, and I'm certainly feeling that. Pootling around urban roads like this at 30 miles an hour is very, very comfortable. And the advantage of the more upright position is twofold. First of all, improved view. Thank you. And secondly, actually, it's a lot easier to do lifesavers. So a significant safety aspect there. Now, one of the things about this particular bike is the suspension has been set fairly hard. So it's a bit harder than my current bike. So if I was to get one of these, I'd probably adjust that just a little bit, because you do feel the bumps quite a bit on this. In a moment, when we get past the motorway junction here, I'll be on a 70 mile an hour limit bit of dual carriageway, so I'll be able to just open it up just a little bit and see what it feels like at speed for the first time. Yeah, that improved view on the shoulder check is very confidence inspiring. Very stable at low speeds. It's actually got a lower centre of gravity than my current bike, which helps. Whee! Yeah, this bike really likes to go. So here we are at 70. Very easy acceleration to 70. And very comfortable turning. Right, well, here we are. So I'm gonna go through this one pretty much similar to the way I did my bike. So first of all, the obvious differences here are the instrument panel and the handlebars. So the handlebars is a 3-bar. One of the things about clip-ons is that they are a little bit adjustable. I'm not sure how easy it would be to make much adjustments with this. The advantage of a 3-bar is you've got some real estate for attaching things like GPS and so on. It's one of the things about my bike is that there's really nowhere that you could attach a GPS or something. The clocks. So one big difference is that on the original Speed Triple, the clocks are actually attached to the steering head, so they turn with the handlebars, whereas these are attached to the main frame itself. The instruments themselves, let's turn it on. So electronics, so we've got the tacho here and speedo, temperature, fuel gauge, clock, 2 trip counters and a lap counter. So if you have got one of these and want to take it to the track or something, it's got a lap timing computer operated using the starter button. So when you start out, you just tap on the starter button and it starts off, and then every lap you just tap on the starter button again and it'll record, I think it's 50 laps worth of data. Um, the trip computers can show you, as it is here, um, the mileage, but also it can show things like your fuel economy, so your average fuel consumption, your spot fuel consumption, and so on. Lots of idiot lights as well. Mirrors, um, smaller profile than the ones on my current bike. I haven't quite managed to get these set up the way I'd like, so I can't really comment too much on them, to be honest, at the moment. But I mean, they seem okay. And as I've said before, the fact that it's a more upright position means that shoulder checks are much easier on this bike than my current bike anyway. So let's have a look around the rest of the bike. So there's that tank that I was saying. It's shorter than my current one and wider. And one of the things that means as well is that your legs are spread a little bit more wide apart. Um, so that's something something to get used to as well. So around the front, twin headlights. Now the second generation Speed Triple had those bug-eyed headlights, and I really did not like those. I did not like that style, and that version just did not appeal to me at all. But these, I'm actually finding that this look is growing on me. A very meaty, grunty front end there, really, with the large, wide radiator there. Now I think this is the previous model because the current, or it's aftermarket exhaust, because I think the current one, it might have the exhaust up at the top. So on my current one, the exhaust is at the bottom here, which means that it's down below the passenger foot pegs. No passenger foot pegs here. But I do believe that on the current Speed Triple, the exhaust comes up here, and there's passenger foot pegs here. So I don't know what that is like in terms of comfort for passengers. So if anyone has got one of the new ones that's like that, I'd be interested to hear what that's like. Now, one of the things that does bug me about this, it might not show up quite so much here, but if I was going to get this bike, I'd be getting it in black rather than this yellow, and that looks something like this. And one of the things that does sort of stick out a little bit for me is the brake fluid reservoir here. So on my current bike, with it being black, they basically made everything black, and including the brake fluid reservoirs black. Now obviously these clearer plastic ones allow you better visibility of what the level is like, but it does really stick out a little bit. So I think if I did get one of these and in black, as I said, there's a very good chance that I might see if there's something that I can do with that to make it blend in a little bit more. Now, as I mentioned in the last video, I did a few measurements, um, and I'll tell you what those are now and compare them to my current bike. Some of them will differ a little bit from the measurements that you might see in from Triumph's website or so on. And the thing about that is that the measurements I'm going to give are taken in exactly the same way on this bike as I did on my current one, so that I could compare the two meaningfully. So first of all, the wheelbase. So the wheelbase of this is 145 centimeters. The wheelbase of my current one is 150 centimeters. So that 5 centimeters less is actually one of the main things that's contributing to this bike feeling better around the corners, actually. And it really does. There's a very noticeable increase in confidence in cornering. Next, the handlebars. So I've spoken about this a little bit. So one of the things I did is I measured from the back of the seat to the midpoint of the handlebar, and this measurement is 90 centimeters. On my current one, it's 100 centimeters. So that's what I mean about the reach. So on my bike, the handlebars would effectively be around about here. So that's the main thing that's contributing to the more upright riding position. Another thing is the width. So I measured from the middle of one handlebar to the middle of the other. This one, it's 62 centimeters. On my current one, it's 56. So that's an extra 6 centimeters wide here. So how that is going to affect things like the ability to filter, I'm not really sure just yet, but obviously that's making this bike just a little bit wider than my current one. And the other measurement I made is the seat's height. Sorry. So my current bike is 80 centimeters. This one is 82. So that tiny little bit extra, combined with the upright position, is giving a better overall visibility. But one of the things I have noticed is that being able to touch the ground is slightly more difficult. I'm quite easily able to have the flat of my feet down on the ground on my current bike, whereas on this one, I'm not quite fully flat, and on uneven terrain that can be a little bit dodgy. One of the other things here is that the modern speed triples have a single-sided swing arm. That's going to make maintenance much easier, especially in terms of being able to remove the rear wheel and so on. However, it's a bit more complicated for me. I have a rear paddock stand that I use for mine for doing things like chain maintenance, but that's not going to be much use on one of these. So I'd need to look at getting a replacement for that, or one of the ones that you can use with the bobbins on the rear axle. There you go. I think it's still a very a great looking bike, actually, and if you imagine that, as I said, in black colours, I think it works really well. Still, yeah, great styling, I think. And of all the bikes that I have seen and looked at and so on, this is still my favourite. So, and let's have a listen. So I think that sounds similar-ish to my current bike. It's still a really nice throaty sound. You know, it sounds as if it means business. So I like that. I like the sound of that. So right, there we go. That is the new Speed Triple walkaround. So. So as I've said, you know, very first impressions, I was a bit iffy about the riding position, but I must admit, having been riding it for a little while now, it's really growing on me. But in particular, its performance, its handling, and so on, and the advantages that come with the more upright riding style and so on are definitely a big plus. So, so that's the first view. Let me know what you think. I'm going to head home now, and I'll upload this, recharge the batteries in my camera, have some lunch, and then I'll be out and about again this afternoon. Right. Well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I said, let me know what you think, and I'll have more on the Speed Triple later on. So for now, ride safe, take care, and I'll catch you later. Bye for now. Yeah, I just want to add a little bit extra to this video, because I've just been basically listening to the bike and how it's going whilst I've been on my way home. Now, some of you wrote on my last video about a high-pitched whine coming from the engine, and I mentioned that I'd never noticed that with my existing bike, but actually on this one I have actually noticed it, especially when slowing down and stopping. And I wonder if that's a difference between carburetted engines and fuel injected engines. So yeah, as I said, I have noticed actually that with this version, and that didn't seem to be there with the other one. Not really something that I'm particularly bothered about, to be honest. So, but anyway, just to let you know that yeah, it does seem to be there with this one. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your comments, not just the ones on the last video, but all of the comments I've received. It really helps a great deal.